Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, in case you ain't know so, and welcome back to another dope episode of Sports with SoSo. Coming to you live, y'all. This week, we're bringing you a dope episode from Empire Boutique, and I got Joel and Martin here with me, and we're gonna talk some Heat and Hurricanes. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go! Gotta make sure my University of Hialeah shirt is straight. Can you guys?
Sure.
Yeah, dog. I mean, hey, I represent Hialeah to the fullest.
Facts.
You know that.
That's facts.
You know that. So it's only fitting that we're in Empire Boutique doing a special episode, right? We got a special guest here. So I got to wear my special shirt that says University of Hialeah, baby. Shout out to Empire.
Shout out to Empire, which is where we're shooting on location today.
Facts.
Now, if you're an OG fan of the show, you've seen this couch, you've seen this venue before.
Not in that type of fashion, guys.
Not
Get the gutter out.
You know this is a
Get the gutter
family-friendly
out.
show.
It's a family-friendly show.
But shout out to Steve, man, who's always opening his door to us, literally and figuratively. And yeah, this is a dope place to come record, man. I think we gotta come here more often in 2023.
Absolutely. And you know what? I gotta introduce you guys have probably seen this guy before on OnlyFans, but it's only right that we bring in Martin and have him join us on Sports with SoSo. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. Ready to talk some Heat?
Yeah, bro.
Now, we just wrapped up OnlyFans, our final OnlyFans for the 2022-2023
Subscribe
season.
right now.
You know, and man, that was a good one. It's a long one. That's why we're not going to be talking Dolphins on today's episode. You want
But
to
it's
make
entertaining as hell, God.
Yeah, but that's why they got to go check out OP, because it's OP.
Facts.
Check it out.
OnlyFans. Subscribe to it, guys, on the YouTube channel. Bro, you know, it's crazy because the last time Joel and I spoke, right, and we spoke about the Heat. Martin, you're a huge Heat fan. We know you have season tickets and you're deeply ingrained into Heat culture, right? When we talked about the Heat last, it was like, yo, we need this team to have a spark. We need to see a spark from these guys. They've been losing too many close games, a lot of bullshit opponents where they've lost to. These guys have turned it around. They've won 7 out of the last 10 games, climbing up the East, right, little by little, from being outside of the freaking playoffs to being 7th now, right, and getting closer after their recent loss on MLK Day to Atlanta. But I don't know, man. Everything that we've been seeing from this Heat team recently is kind of what we expected to see in the beginning, right?
For me, honestly, I wasn't one of those worried about the beginning of the season. You got to understand, Jimmy's been the guy you expect to score on a night in, night out basis. All you wanted to see is other pieces come in and gel.
I think you expected Bam to be the guy scoring points every night too, right?
You expected someone, yeah, of course. Bam is always the guy you're looking for to be the second. But you always want other pieces to show what they can do. And that's what I saw in the beginning of the season that was a little weird compared to what we're seeing now. In the beginning of the season, Jimmy was kind of stepping back, letting others do it, see who can step up. And now we're seeing, obviously, more of a combination of now Oladipo coming in, which is, to me.
Well, not only him coming in, but also Kyle Lowry being out, right? Yeah. Because since Kyle Lowry's been out.
6-1.
6-1.
In the last 7 games without Kyle Lowry. Was that the stat that went around this weekend?
I'm just saying.
And I'm sorry to go off on a tangent here. There was a rumor going around that we were shopping him, and the team that we were shopping into said, no thanks.
I'm sure a lot of teams are seeing his salary, right? Yeah. And going, yeah, we rather not at this moment. That doesn't mean that I don't think that he can package him in a deal later on. But more importantly, I think what it means for the position is that we have a dynamic playmaker in that position, which is what we expected Kyle to be. And we're seeing the offense flow better, perform better because of the performances that are coming out of that point guard position. Not only Victor Oladipo, Gabe Vincent has been impressive.
I was going to say right now, he's coming into his own again. And we saw him last year. He was one of our unsung heroes, right?
Sir.
Unlikely heroes last year, often. And we've seen him kind of struggle this year. We've kind of seen those role players kind of struggle a little bit this year. And now they're starting to come into their own.
I feel like you want to see that. You want to see them gel now because you don't want Jimmy in the season to break down. Like that's the last thing you want. That guy's always with a knee injury. Don't you want that your star player to be ready? And that's what I always say when and he's one of those players that you need to have some maintenance because LeBron takes time off for a reason.
Everybody
what
does.
matters? Playoffs.
Steph.
You're there for the playoffs. that's all that matters. These little bumps in the road to me.
Yeah, you look at Kawhi, another guy too that they don't play often. KD,
Kyrie.
The regular season is just getting ready, man. That's all it is, and that's why I don't really make a big deal about this.
100%, especially with a veteran like Butler is, right? You expect him to be ready no matter what. Hey, you want to take a day off, take it off, come back, play. We know your level. But what we did see this year that a lot of people were hoping to see, and we've seen it in abundance, is Bam taking over, dog. Bam has really taken this team by like the neck and saying, yo, this is my team. Yeah, Jimmy's the leader, but this is my team. We're gonna play the Bam way. You know what I mean? And I only say that because he plays with a lot of energy. He doesn't give up on plays. He's always hustling, and he does the hardest job on the court, which is defending the best player on the other team. Especially being in an undersized position that he is, being a 6'10", 6'9" center, that shit is not easy to do. And what we saw from him this year has been that explosive offense where he's just taking every single opportunity in the paint. And we kind of talked about it before we started shooting, but his touch around, or his aggressiveness around the basket in the paint has really made a difference.
Now, what do you think that's attributed to? Do you think that it's something that, Coach Poe has realized, all right, I'm not doing right by Bam by allowing him to run more, do more on his own? Or is it Bam now coming into his own and realizing, you know what, I got to stop being so hesitant. I got to make a decision. I got to be confident in my shot or get to the rim, get to the line. What do you guys think?
I think it's easy. I think it's not Spo. I think it's Bam. I think that final playoff game versus the Celtics, when he ripped his jersey, I think he finally is breaking out and coming of his own, because he said it himself. He's doing 2 to 3 workouts a day now. You've always known what you're going to get from Bam every game. You're going to get him bringing on the ball. You're going to have him covering your best player. Other than when Jimmy's not in, he's covering your best player. He's the only center you can really say that's not a traditional center, covering center, power forward, and small forward. And he's playing point guard at certain plays that there's not another. I get it. Jimmy is a pure scorer and a great defender, but I don't think this team runs the same without Bam. That's just my opinion.
There's no doubt about that, dog, because, you said, like, is it Bam or is it Spo? I think it's Spo telling Bam, like, yo, if you don't do it now, you're never going to do it.
I think I think it's Bam telling him to himself if he doesn't do it now.
Right? And then Bam realizing, like, oh, shit, this is the time for me to take over. Jimmy's getting a little bit older. Hero is not necessarily that bona fide superstar just yet. I'm already there. I'm at that level, right, where they were talking about him in Defensive Player of the Year. He was an all-star, like should have been a starter or not.
He got snubbed last year.
You know what I'm saying?
That's because of the injury.
He should have been a starter, though. And not that he wasn't an all-star, whether or not he was going to be a starter.
Sure. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But it was also, the fact that we missed him for so many games last season. Yeah. And we saw what happened in those games.
We
needed other guys to step up. But
he's been healthy this year.
He has been healthy. But you talked about a guy in Tyler Hero. I want to go back into this weekend. He was missing for a couple games this weekend. This did not turn out the way that I thought. Playing Milwaukee, I think back-to-back games. Correct. We had to come back, play Atlanta on MLK Day. I thought we were going to be winning that Atlanta game. The Milwaukee games I thought were going to be tough. And I was just completely surprised by everything.
Well, the Milwaukee games were tough, right? Because they didn't have Giannis, right? Which makes it a little bit harder when you play a team that doesn't have their superstar, because those guys are playing extra hard, right? You're going to get those extra hard performances from that bench guy who hits 6 threes in a game for you or some shit like that. You're always going to find those performances. But I just think that he found a way to stick with it defensively, right? And stifle teams that way, especially Milwaukee, because in the fourth quarter, which has been an issue for this team, they clamped down and they kept their 8-point lead, 7-point lead, and kept teams at bay. And I feel like that's something that we were dying to see earlier on in the season, but now that we see them getting into form, it's like, all right, these guys are finally starting to pick it up. That Atlanta game got away from them because they had a slow start to begin with. They were
never in that game from the beginning.
Yeah, they kind of got into it, right? They got into like 5 or 8 points.
I think it went down to 8 points, and then they just took off again. But again, I mean, we talked about last week on the episode what we thought going into this road trip, right? What we were expecting, and that wasn't really what we were expecting.
Hell no. And look, you know what? You lose a tough road game in Atlanta on Martin Luther King Day, dog, it happens. You know what I mean? It happens. But you look at those other victories before that, and you're like, yeah, that's the team that's trending in the right direction. I said it earlier. 7 out of the last 10 games, they've gotten dubs. That's a lot of pizza mañanas. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Closing out games, winning the fourth, like you said.
And more importantly, it gets us closer to that playoff seeding that we're looking to be in. We're not trying to be in that 9th, 8th, 7th position. We're trying to be in that 5-4 position.
Top 5 seed.
And I don't think that we're there just yet.
No, and I think we're seeing the players step up when we need them to. Having Hero out and Vincent and Lowry out too, and seeing Vincent come in and play the way he did, it's not surprising, but it's great to see because you don't know what's going to happen with Lowry. Like,
True.
You realistically speaking, not even if he's on the team, is he going to be able to step up? Spo's the type of player he's like, if you're not going to be the one to get us where we need to be or put us in good positions,
hit that bench.
Maybe you're gonna hit the bench, even if you
Hit that bench.
We've seen it with Duncan Robinson.
Yeah.
So realistically,
I don't care if we gave you $90 million and you made all these 3
You're not productive right now.
You're not doing shit. Max Strus is gonna get the high hand, and Max Strus right now don't got the high hand.
So that's why it's great to see Gabe Vincent do it because you need to have someone step up because no Lowry means you have a big hole to fill. Believe it or not, coming into the season, you're expecting a lot from Kyle Lowry.
Hell yeah.
Well, so talking about a big
yeah.
hole to fill, a guy that we didn't know was going to play this season or not, has had a lot of injury concerns. We haven't seen his utmost potential from where he was. But in this last 10 games, I would say more or less, this guy is coming through for us, man. And it's Victor Oladipo.
For sure.
How you guys feeling about Depot?
I gotta give him his props out because I was super hard on Victor.
You
right?
were. You
I
were.
was super hard on Victor because I was like, damn, yo, we paid you. We were dying to see you. You made it seem like you were ready to start the season off, ready to go, and he just wasn't ready for whatever reason. But kind of like what I mentioned earlier, with Kyle not playing well, not being productive, having somebody like Victor Oladipo readily available, and it looks like he's starting to get really comfortable with his body again because he's dunking, he's going up for blocks, he's throwing himself around the floor. So he's not worried about that knee injury anymore. He's just doing things that Victor Oladipo knows he can do. And I feel like we just made a fucking mid-season trade and just got Victor Oladipo because now we got the Victor Oladipo we expected. And it couldn't have come at a better time because we have so many guys or one main guy that's not producing for us that has that expectation. And now we have certain other guys that didn't have that expectation, fulfilling that role, stepping that role. And it's Victor Oladipo. It's Gabe Vincent. It's Highsmith when he gets minutes. It's Strus, staying in it defensively and playing well, being one of those guards that you can rely on defense, right? When you have to swap him out. I just feel like the guard position right now is really solidified and that's what's balanced out this team because the big man play was always there with Jimmy and Bam, right? The forwards are always taken care of in that position. But seeing those guards play, man, and seeing Victor Oladipo do his thing, it's impressive. And I got to give him his props.
I think for me, the only way we take the next step, even without Lowry being traded or getting an asset for him, it's getting a big man to complement
Miles Turner.
That's the thing. I see that's
Bro,
pretty tough,
we've been talking about this for
but
how
he's
long
the guy.
They're saying
we
Nerlens
need
Noel.
another
is a
big
big
man.
one.
Nerlens Noel's been a name thrown around. Turner's been a name thrown around.
Olynyk has been rumored to come back. But that's whack.
Olynyk is another.
That's whack.
He's a
Maple
beast,
Dick.
but he's
That's
not,
what we call him. That's his name, Maple Dick. I don't know why he has that name, but
That's a weird-ass nickname, dog.
Shout out to my boy Rob. That's what he
That's
hates.
a weird-ass
Olynyk.
nickname,
But
man.
no, man. I mean, that we've been saying that for I don't know how long now. We need it, and then they're talking about what's this other dude? They're possibly trying to trade Dedmon.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's like, how much trade capital do you really got with a guy like Dedmon? You know what I mean? Like.
I think the reason why we trade Dedmon is because we see the emergence of Highsmith.
Yeah.
Highsmith has been playing well.
Absolutely.
Being aggressive, being a defensive force, and he's way more athletic, more natural with the basketball than Dedmon.
Yeah.
Dedmon gets the ball down, and it's almost like a full stop. You got to reset him almost, right? He's like Lurch out there.
He's like Big Sloppy, but
Yeah,
it's just what I'm saying. Like, we're not going to get much for him. So then it's like, how much trade capital do we have? We have Lowry with a contract nobody wants, and he's had no production. We got Dedmon, who ain't really doing shit for
Duncan
us.
sitting there with a huge price tag. I don't think we move
You
him
know what I
either.
mean? It's like, we have pieces to move, but it's like, do people really want him?
I think we have to take a loss in order to be a positive impact. We have to take a loss on the
Riley
trade.
don't take L's, homie. He hands
But you
them
know
out.
what? Listen, if you got to say, fuck it, I got to take a bad contract back in order to get rid of Lowry, and Victor Oladipo's my starter now, and Gabe Vincent is his backup, worst case scenario, I can throw Strus in there. You do that, dog.
I would like to see a happy place, a world where Lowry comes back and we're seeing Oladipo and
As a
Hero come off the bench, both of them.
Nah, I don't want Hero coming off the bench anymore, dog. I need him to start because
I feel like that's what we're gonna
It'd be
need.
too small at that point, though.
Yeah,
No, with
man.
that line. Or no, you're talking about coming off the bench. Never mind.
Coming off the bench.
Yeah, it's a smaller lineup, but Spo likes to do that.
Those are the one. I don't know. Hero's the one that mentioned that he's like, I like having someone to compliment off me. Because
Right.
when he's the sixth man coming out, everybody's coming towards him.
Yeah.
But when you have Oladipo and him coming off on the court together, I think I'm a little more scared of that team than just Hero coming in and energizing.
Well,
Let
let's
me ask you this though. But I'm sorry to cut you off, but back on that. But do you think then that impacts Oladipo coming off the bench? Do you think he still has the same kind of games that he's having starting for us?
I think it's because of how good of a defensive player Oladipo is. I think he could create his own offense. It's a little different. Hero
Absolutely.
really can't do that.
Nope.
Hero's like, I need the ball in my hand in order to score.
So then why not just to play devil's advocate here? If it sounds like we should be starting Victor Oladipo, right?
But then you,
Right,
I'm
but
saying,
that's
I'm
the
saying a
smartest
perfect
point.
world in that Lowry's
Yeah.
actually somehow productive. You want to have Oladipo coming off the bench. Not want, but I feel like it's a good fit
For
but
me-
coming off with Hero.
For me, if we start Victor, that just means that he'll be fresher when it comes down to close the game, right?
But you've seen in the playoffs, Hero doesn't.
No,
do
no,
much.
but that's my
So I
point.
feel like having that second piece opens it up for him. He doesn't put the pressure on him. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, I get it, but even still, like at the end of the day, what this team is going to have to focus on is what's the best lineup that we could put on in 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, right? Victor Oladipo should be on the floor.
Changes everything. That's no more bench player.
Yeah, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like when we're talking about starters, you're talking about starters in crunch minutes, right? Where Bam is going to be on the floor, Jimmy's going to be on the floor. We know that Hero's going to be on the floor. Who else should be on the floor? Right now, it seems like in those fourth quarter minutes, it should be Victor Oladipo over Strus, over Lowry, over Gabe Vincent. Maybe Gabe Vincent is getting closer to that, right? Where he's like, yo, I can challenge.
You have Strus there because he could play defense.
But he could play. But if Victor's Ola
And he can
defense
shoot
is,
the three.
but if Victor Ola
and we know
defense,
he can do it in the playoffs.
I know that. But Victor Oladipo's defense is really good. So we're not really losing much there if he starts in the fourth quarter. I get what you're saying.
All right, but I'm saying, all right, but I'm going. What we're talking about specifically, though, let's talk hypothetically speaking here. It's the last game of the season, the last minute of the season. Who are your 5 guys that you have out there? I'm sorry. Who are your 3 guys on this Heat team aside from Bam and Jimmy that you're putting out there with them?
If it's me, I'm going Hero for sure, right? Hero for sure. Oladipo for sure, right? And man, as crazy as it sounds, I would want Highsmith in there. Why? Because I feel like we always get killed on those offensive rebounds when we play a good defensive possession. Ball hits the rim, it comes off, and it's the biggest guy on the court for the other team grabbing the rebound.
Very
we saw it
interesting.
against San Antonio, against Brooklyn, right? Where Kyrie missed that 3, and the fucking nobody of...
Bam wasn't even on the court that play.
No, he wasn't. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. We always need size when it comes to that last minute thing in order to kill the offensive rebound potential. And I feel like rather than Deadman, I'd rather have Highsmith.
No, for sure. That's for sure.
Because Bam is probably going to be on the perimeter.
Yeah.
I guess it depends situationally on the
Yeah,
matchup too and
I
who we're
think-
playing against. But I think I kind of agree, with that sentiment. I thought the only person there would be Highsmith, and then maybe you go with the Strus instead,
Yeah, Strus
who gives you that 2-way ability and the 3-point ball late in the game. But I mean, that's really who it comes down to. Those are our 5 best guys, really.
But then why do we need Lowry?
We
At
don't.
That point,
We don't.
Why do we need Lowry?
And I think that he's proven with his absence, right, that
We don't need him.
we don't necessarily need him right
Changes
now.
the whole
Right.
playoff thing changes, man. I'm sorry. I don't trust Hero in the playoffs. I've said it from the beginning.
I've said that too. I'm with
when
you.
everybody knocked me for saying, "Oh, look, he's too young," I'm like, it's the Tua effect. What have you seen from him to say that?
And
this
even
is the
now
guy?
this season, when everybody's like, "Damn, look at Hero, 40-point game, 30-point game," that's
don't
fine.
care.
We
I
know
don't
he can
care
do
about
that.
the
He's
regular
done that
season games.
his whole short career in the regular season. Come crunch time, though, we haven't seen that from him yet. But
But look, to be fair, yes, Hero does have to play better in the postseason this year, no matter what, right?
stay healthy.
And stay healthy, no matter what. But this team is only going to go as far in the postseason
As Butler.
as Bam. I feel like Bam, look, when we were in the bubble, Bam was killing it.
Yep.
Killing it, and nobody could stop him. That shit got us all the way to the finals.
Yep.
What happens in the finals? Bam got hurt, changed the whole dynamic.
He had one good game, I think, against
right?
the Celtics.
Changed the whole dynamic.
I'm pretty
Same
sure
thing.
it was just one game that I can remember that was like, oh, that was a
out,
good
yeah.
Bam performance.
Last year, same thing happened. We get towards the playoffs, and Bam is just nowhere to be found offensively, nowhere to be found. So in the playoffs, for me, right, or even in tight game situation, I feel like Bam has to be the guy, and let Jimmy be the guy supporting the guy, but Bam has to be the guy.
And that's fine. And what I want to go back to, though, is because we started talking about Kyle Lowry. And it's like, all right, well, Hero has hasn't shown up yet, but he has the potential. I don't think we've seen it yet. Bam, we know he can do it. He can play to that. Jimmy, we know what we're getting with him. Kyle Lowry, though, yeah, he's a veteran. He's been in that situation before, but after seeing the sample size that I saw in this past postseason and then so far in his, short career with the Heat, I don't feel like I want to have that guy out on the court with the game on the line. I mean, he hasn't shown it to me that he has that ability to do that.
You would only hope that his veteran mindset, his leadership.
But this is all expecting that Oladipo's healthy. That's the thing. You don't know.
That's another part. If Victor has to stay healthy for the entire rest of the season.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Same thing with Hero. You mentioned it. Hero has to stay healthy for the rest of the season. Bam, for the rest of the season. Those guys we can't afford those guys to get hurt, because if we do, we're dead in the water.
For sure.
Dead in the water.
We're not deep, that's for sure. We're definitely not a deep team.
And you know what? If all things considered, right, let's say we do stay healthy. Let's say the team does stay healthy. Then obviously, I think the best person who gives us the chance to play better is Victor Oladipo. When we're just comparing him to Lowry, forget the rest of the guards, matchups, whatever. When we're just saying, like, all right, which player is more dynamic, which one has had a better season, which one shows a lot more fluid mobility, it's Victor Oladipo. You know what I mean? And that's part of the reason why we re-signed him, right? Because we're like, yo, this guy's still young. He still has all this ability. He still has all this, knowledge and explosiveness.
The upside is
way higher, right? So maybe
Lowry's
you don't feel
upside
bad.
is he knows how to take a charge. That's my biggest
he can hit
upside for the
clutch
guy.
shots. He can hit clutch shots. He's shown that.
He can?
That's not where.
Not always.
That's not what I remember him in for the
Not
last couple
always.
seasons.
Where I feel he's the best benefit is that it looks more like a controlled offense when he's on the court.
True.
That's about it. That's only where I'm standing. He's good. He's a good defender, but it's only when it's a bigger point guard. When it's a speedy point guard, he's
Forget about it.
I mean, look, he got smoked by Kyrie that day. Smoked.
You're talking
smoked.
Kyrie.
I get it, but like this is a Kyrie
Still,
Kyrie's
Kyle Lowry's
older.
not
Imagine
gonna do
Kyrie's older. You know what I mean? Like that's probably the one of the older point guards that he's gonna face in the East. You know what I mean? When it comes to that, because if he goes up against Jaylen Brown in Boston, like, Kyle Lowry got no shot. Victor Oladipo probably has a shot of defending him, but Kyle Lowry has no shot of defending a Brown or a freaking Trae Young or something like that. You know what I mean?
Overall, I feel like I like what we're seeing. Although we're not winning the games, sometimes you're like, we should have won this or we should look better. I feel like little by little we will be better towards hopefully a change is made. Somehow either say, hey, Lowry's our guy or Lowry's not our guy. You need to decide that, because if Vincent plays the way he is and he's somehow being rotated in and out, it's not going to be good for the playoffs. You need to decide who it's going to be.
No, for sure. But let's talk then now moving forward. This week, what do we got looking forward to? We just lost. We got to bounce back now. What do we got this week,
So we got a game coming out, playing tonight. By the time you guys are hearing this, we're going to be playing on the road against the Pelicans. Another road game Friday against Dallas. Sunday, coming back home against the Pelicans before we face Boston on Tuesday.
Pelicans have been playing
Which
great.
I'll be at,
The
so I'll let
emergence
you
of
know.
Zion Williamson, and then Dallas with Luka Magic, bro. This is not an easy little stretch of games.
Well, you know what, Joel? It's kind of like what you and I talked about last year, right? Where it's like, all right, you took a loss, but let's not turn it into a 2-game losing streak, 3-game losing streak. Go out there and beat these guys. That's a beatable team. You lost to Atlanta. That's a beatable team because they hadn't been playing great, right? Pelicans aren't really on fire. They just lost their guy, They're an NBA team, no problem. You know what I mean? But you got to go out there and beat those guys. You got to go out there and get a game against one of those 2 games, either against Dallas or Boston, because what we don't want to see is this Heat team get into a position where they get ahead and then they lose 2-3 games and they're like, shit, they're sliding back down. They can't afford that this season. They're not high enough to say we can take another 2-game losing streak. If anything, we need to see these guys do the same thing they did over these last 10 games. Go 7-3.
Do you think we need to have? Are we the type of team that needs home court to be good?
Hell yeah, man.
Okay, so that's gonna be a problem.
That's going to be a problem. And look, only because of the guys that we would have to depend on, some of the guys may not have that road warrior experience. We know that Jimmy has it. We know that Bam has it a little bit. We know that Hero has it a little bit. But what about the rest of the guys? Is Gabe going to be able to step up? What type of mindset or frame, mental frame is Victor Oladipo going to be in? Because this will be first time he's in a high-level competitive playoff type of scenario. Same thing with Lowry. Is he going to be able to step up? What the hell's Duncan doing? Where is that guy? Is he going to be, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of, when you look at the bench, there's a lot that you can question when it comes to, like, playoff mentality. But to me, the focus always has to be on our main guys and our main guys being healthy, dog. And winning games consistently is how you allow those guys to take break. You can't lose 3 games in a row and then tell Jimmy to take off a day. You know what I mean? Because you need to win that 4th game. So if the Heat can find ways to win 2, 3, and then, hey, you know what? We lose a game where Hero doesn't start. We lose a game where Bam doesn't play, where Jimmy doesn't play. Then you take it and you go from there. But they can't afford any more slips at this point in the season. I just feel like they can't, because if they do, they're flirting with being out. They're flirting with being out. And I don't think there's a lot of other teams in the East to be scared of, right? Philadelphia is not that great. There's only 2 teams that you really look at and you're like, shit, bro, I don't want to play these guys in the first round. It's Brooklyn. You don't want to play them in the first round. And Boston. You definitely don't want to play them in the first round.
I wouldn't want to play 76ers the first round.
Their size kills us.
Bro.
Their size kills us.
I agree, just because of one player on that team.
Embiid kills us. You know what I mean? So, like, again, it goes back to it. How do you avoid that in the first round? You got to win as many games as you can in the regular season. That's our playoff. Like, right now, we got to be treating teams like playoff opponents, because that game against Atlanta can't happen again against the Pelicans. It can't happen against Dallas, because then you're going to get smoked out. You know what I mean? You can't play like that against Boston. You're going to get smoked out.
Let me ask you guys this. I know we got to move on, but I want to ask you guys, because I think that they're going to lift the no trade clause for Brad Beal and a couple other guys. Yeah. Besides the big, would you guys want somebody like a Brad Beal or something like that?
I want a big man. I want Bam to play the 4.
Yeah.
That's my thing, man. I've always been a proponent of, like, if you want your big man to shine, get a big man to do the dirty work. And we don't have a big man to do the dirty work. Right now, Highsmith is doing the dirty work next to Bam, and it's freeing him up so much. But if we had a guy who was better, you know what I mean? Not saying that Highsmith sucks or whatever, but he's still young. He's learning. He's learning.
Still green.
If you had a veteran there who knows how to do the dirty work and can help Bam out in that situation, I think that does more for us than bringing in a guard who can score. Because in my mind, we have a guard who can score. That's Oladipo.
And what are you going to give? Yeah, exactly. You're going to ruin too much not that we have all the chemistry in the world right now, but right now with these little pieces we do have, they play together well. Do you really want to bring in a shooting guard to now mess up Butler's game, which Butler can play off the ball? He's good.
But how does that affect a guy like Hero?
Yeah, but there's a lot of moving parts there. So I wouldn't say a guard is in our best interest. I would say big man or nothing.
And it's a sexy play. You know what? And my boys in the chat, they kind of killed me for the Donovan Mitchell shit, right? When he had the 50-something points or whatever.
That's what I was going to allude to.
But they almost lost that game. To case in point, he dropped 50 and they still almost lost that game. You know what I mean? When Mitchell went off. So my point saying
70, yeah. 71, I think it was.
And they still almost lost that game.
Double overtime, no? Or something like that?
Yeah. So
but all I remember is he dropped 71 and they won.
That's all they're going to remember. Exactly. I get that.
Why would you say?
My point being is, like, I don't think that this team needs offensive scoring from the guard position. We have guys who can put the ball in the hoop in the guard position. Sure. You know what I mean? What we needed is more points from our front court, which was Bam. Hey, Bam, you can't get away with these 18 points a game, 19 points. Nah, Papi, you need to be 24, 25, occasionally 30 points here and there. With
you get into the line and getting those free throws.
And getting those free throws. And that's something that he's improved greatly on from last year to this year. Yeah. And even those little shots, like I was saying earlier when we were talking, him being aggressive in the paint and shooting those jumpers, he killed Brook Lopez the other night. Killed Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez couldn't even do anything with him. Any center that doesn't step up to Bam is going to get 3 jumpers. And by the time they hit that third one, he's already moving and shucking and jiving. And once he gets to that point, he's got you where he wants you. You know what I mean? And I just feel like that's the key to the Heat, man. That's always been the key to the Heat. Letting Bam be the offensive guy, you know, and I've said it, and I'm sure we can look up the stats. Anytime that guy's over 25 points, we'll probably have an 80% chance of winning the game. Because the times that he does
better.
go, yeah, or better, right? Because then that means Bam has 25. Automatically, you can put Jimmy with 17. He doesn't even have to give you 20. Hero throws in 19. Now you're at 60-something points between your 3 guys, which is what you want from your main studs.
Yep.
Me with this Heat team is always going to be the same thing. Good, we're good with the guards. We're good with the guards. We need help in the center position, like Martin said. And if we can get that, then I'll feel like we'll see the best of Bam, because then he'll be so free.
There's only 2 teams with certain players that really, when we play them, I feel like they get the best of Bam. And it's the 76ers and the Bulls. Vujicic and
that guy's
and
a
Embiid,
freaking mountain, dog.
They're disgusting. And then the fact
don't
that
there's one more team out west though, not on the east. I know you just mentioned East.
No, and Joker did him up too.
That's exactly who I was.
But that's Joker. He's the MVP.
Who doesn't?
Joker.
But that's the thing. You know, they're bigger than him.
Yeah,
that little bit
and
extra
it just
size
shows you, like, that's what he's missing. He's missing someone take care of those players. Not on the offensive side. On the offensive side, he's gonna do his thing.
Right.
But on the defensive side, when you have to cover them and then go back and score on them, it's not that easy.
Takes a toll.
Nice, takes a toll.
And that's why his shot's getting. I feel like he's focused on his shot because he's like, I'm not gonna be able to bang with these people. Those big guys, I'm not. And then they have Vujicic and they have Drummond.
Yeah.
So when one leaves, the
other one's coming in to foul the shit out of you, and it's not even cover you.
Yeah.
They're coming in to foul the shit out of Bam, dog. And look, I feel like that's why Bam has really grown this year. He's seen what the opposition is doing to him, and he's responded in a positive way. Are you gonna give me that space? I'm gonna shoot the jumper and make it. Oh, you're gonna foul me? Cool. I'm gonna make 8 out of 10 free throws every single time. And he's been our most dangerous player this year, bro, offensively and defensively, which is sick, man. I hope he keeps it up, dog. Honestly, man. He's got to.
It's the only way I feel us going to the next step. I'm not saying Eastern Conference is possible right now with the way we were looking, because Celtics are that dangerous and 76ers have gotten better, although they're not playing it like it right now. The Nets, they have Kyrie and KD, which again...
KD's out, but still.
Yeah, the playoffs.
Still.
Again, regular season,
for the playoffs, he'll be there, and he's going to be dangerous.
It's not something you really want to go in and say you have to be perfect, because versus that team you have to be perfect. Nets is not a team that they could drop 70 easy by themselves. Them too.
100%.
So.
We got to get 2 out of these next 3 games for sure. Beat the Pelicans. Give yourself a shot against Dallas, who has been beatable at times, and they have a guy who we were rumored to, another guard, which was Hardaway. You know what I mean? But again, just another trade that really doesn't make sense for us. But if we can win those 2 games and come into that Boston Celtics game with some momentum at home next week, I feel like that could be the start of a good roll, man. Something where we really turn up, because after that, it gets easier. Magic, Hornets, Cavs, Knicks.
When's the All-Star break?
Be in a month.
Yeah, it's in a month.
So, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, keep doing what you're doing. In 10 games, get me 7, get me 8 out of every 10 games, and we'll be good for the rest of the season. And we'll see this team in that 4th, 5th position in the East. And that's where they need to be, man. For real.
I think they need to be 4. I think they have to be tough.
They have to. They have to. If they don't, it's going to be tough to come back from, man, for sure. But you know what?
What's up?
I want to flip it over to Hurricanes basketball real quick, dog.
You said it's tough to come back, and I knew you were going to segue with the comeback.
Because they did have an amazing comeback win, dog.
What a game. Against the Cuse?
Yeah, bro. And look, you know what? Those ACC games, dog, they're always hard as hell for the Hurricanes, dog, because a lot of those coaches coached together. They were on the same staff in freaking Penn State in 79. It was like, oh, we run the same plays, same offense. Let's try to figure each other out. Who can shoot better here? And that game against Syracuse was impressive, dog, because, like I said, it almost felt like we were watching a Heat game. It came down to a defensive stop and a free throw, right? And shout out to the Nicaraguan, man. That guy's been killing it. I'm telling you, double-doubles for this team.
You put me on.
And he had a game-saving block with like 4 seconds left. This team, for some reason, dog, it just finds a way to gel. And it's crazy because of the talent that's on there. They have a bunch of guards, right? A lot of transfers. And with like 2 or 3 big guys, but Coach L finds a way to fucking put it together. And this team has only lost 3 games all season, still ranked in the top 20 for a program that's not really known for basketball, right? Compared to the rest of the teams in the ACC, like a Syracuse, like a Duke, like a North Carolina. And this guy's going out there and not only competing against them, but beating them. You know what I mean? And that shit is impressive, dog, because like we know, right? We're Miami fans. We know that when the money comes into UM, it's not going directly to b-ball, right? It's probably going to like baseball, for sure football first, then baseball, then girls soccer, then the basketball team.
I would like to think. I mean,
girls soccer is sick.
But UM basketball has had some notoriety in the last few years, especially after last season.
Very recent.
Yeah, very recent. But I'm saying, like, I think that they've been trending in that direction. That they've been making investments and improvements and things like that, and throwing money towards that direction. But I agree. I mean, it's definitely not the first place that they're throwing money at.
Hell no, man. And again, that's what makes it even more impressive for a guy like Coach L, right? Because he's not a guy who's getting paid like the rest of these top coaches in basketball are getting paid, you know what I mean? But this guy has a program where he has some type of sentiment to it. He really has thrown himself into the program and really, not only embraced it, but like made it his own, where the guys are like, yeah, this is Coach L style basketball. You know what I mean? And I think the program has just gotten better for it. The fact that these guys have gone 2-2 in ACC play so far since they started, they had that rough game against Virginia Tech, tough loss in overtime to NC State, which I was watching that crib and I was like, that's the one game I didn't want to lose because of how good we played in it. But it just shows me that this team is like this close to being a real fucking contender in the March Madness tournament, dog, that's going to be coming up. Because I feel like once they get through this ACC schedule, that's going to toughen them up. They may not get through it unscathed, right? But that's going to toughen them up to the point where they're already experienced, they have that belief in them, and they're going to be able to make a run, dog.
If that NC State game made you feel like that, how do you think that locker room felt after that game?
I'm sure somebody threw a chair.
Which
I'm sure somebody threw a chair, dog.
You got to think that loss might have been something good for them.
True.
The way that they lost.
True.
To go that far in that game, OT, and then come up just short. That's a good loss. You know what I'm saying? That's a learning lesson right there, because that's the kind of shit that they're gonna walk away from and go, like, when they get in that situation again, they go, we know how to prevent the loss from happening. We know how to clinch this game right now and how to win, especially like you just said, coming into March Madness time.
Yeah, bro. And you know,
I'm not a big follower of college basketball, but anything UM related, man, even when you're hyping them up, they're gonna find a way to let you down. I'm sorry, man.
Nah,
Be realistic.
The thing that's different with this basketball team, right, and with the basketball program in itself, they've never been like that overhyped team. There's never been that overhyped team. There's always been that team that's like, oh, these guys can possibly get into the tournament. Oh, shit, they made it to the tournament. Oh, shit, they made it to the second round. Cool, dog. That's always been the feel with UM basketball. And it's only been because we know that, like I was saying earlier, that's not the team that's getting all the resources, right, when it comes to that college.
People assume they are because it's the University of Miami, so the football program, that's what gives it its whole image as soon as you tie anything to that UM brand. But, what's been the best UM basketball team that we've seen in the last 30 years?
I was a kid. Yeah, this guy, I was in high school. This guy's in middle school, and this was like 2002 when they made that run.
It's just we're not known for that.
We're not.
But people think, oh, it's UM. Like, they should be. They should be good in every program. They're good in baseball. They're good in football. But it's like we haven't had that. But Coach L has something special here with his team.
He really does, dog. And look, again, when I feel like the ACC is wide open for him now. Coach K is out. Roy Williams is out of North Carolina. Like, you're the old head in here. You're the most winningest coach in the ACC. You can definitely make it your own. And one thing I think that the UM happens to have as an advantage as a program or as a university is their NIL deals, dog. The deals that, don't get me wrong, there's other schools throwing out money, like ridiculous money, right? Like I can't even imagine what guys are getting paid in Alabama, NC, like North Carolina, like Duke.
Oh yeah, for actual basketball programs,
right? Like getting paid, right? The fact that these guys are able to get top name transfers to come out here and play for Coach L, right, with 3 years of eligibility left or 2 years or whatever, and come spend the rest of his career here, that shit says a lot, dog, because they see it and they're like, yeah, you know what, I could be the spark that gets this team going. That's why I feel like they went and got the Nicaragua kid, Omir, because they were like, you know what, we need size. We got guards all day, but we can't do shit when we can't get an offensive rebound. And now you bring in the solution, and Coach L was like, "Hey guys, chuck it. My man right here got the rebound." You know what I mean? And it's worked for the Hurricanes. Look, they were 16-1 at one point. You don't get to that level, right, with having a good, well-rounded squad with some superstar power mixed in there in order to get those results. And that's a lot of that has to do with Coach L bringing these kids together, dog, because if you look at the background and like the cities that these kids are from, there's no way that these guys would have ever decided out of their own will to be like, yeah, I'm going to UM, as coming out of high school. But I think they see what's been building with the program, and they're like, you know what? I can be the one who can help turn it around. Look, Isaiah Wong is our leading scorer this year. He could have left, and he almost did leave. And he was like, nah, the NIL money is good here. Plus, I got a starting spot. Plus, I know Coach L is going to put me in a position where I can look raw and probably make it to the NBA. Boom. Kid stays, having a hell of a season. His best season as a Hurricane. And now look at the Hurricanes. Number 16 in the nation, really making some noise. And it's behind him as an offensive powerhouse and Omier as a defensive powerhouse.
Are we officially ranked 16? I know I saw something that was like 16/17, so I don't know if the official ranking came out just yet.
Well, they still have us. Well, they moved us down to 17th after that loss, but if we get these next 2 games, we got AC. Remember, we're still in ACC play. We're playing Duke in Duke, and then we got FSU and Pitt on the road. 3 road games for the Hurricanes.
Are you excited or are you?
I'm excited
for some reason.
I am, dog, because if it's like I told you guys, if we get these wins, that means that we're in control of the ACC now. And ACC basketball goes through UM, which is crazy. Nobody in the last 10 years would have been like, yeah, in 2023, UM basketball is going to be on the map. Nobody would have said that except for the guys in the locker room and Coach L and his staff, right? So if they're able to win and get that notoriety up, I feel like not only is it good for the basketball program, it's good for UM, dog, because it builds that positive momentum, that positive image around the program. You know what I mean? I'm really excited because I feel like this is something that younger people can get into. If you're in your mid-30s, early 30s, you can go catch a game on a Tuesday for like $12. You know what I mean? Instead of paying $100 to go watch a Heat game and watch Just As Good As Talent and have a good time in Coral Gables and check those guys out. Because then what's going to happen is that game against Duke, when they come back down, when North Carolina comes back down, everybody's going to be like, oh, shit, the Kings are number 15, they're number 13, let's go sack them. Nah, you're too late. The bus is filled up. You know what I mean? So if you haven't been on the Hurricanes train for basketball, I feel like now's a good time to get it because I feel like they're going to take over the ACC, man. And big wins against Duke, against FSU.
But they have to win those.
They got to win those games. And FSU has been tough for them. And they got a squad out there, dog. So I'm expecting the team to bounce back. Like Joel said, that North Carolina game woke them up because they made that comeback in that next game against Syracuse and said, nah, we're not going out like
and
that.
They closed it out.
So if they have that momentum and that energy and that mind frame, man, this team can go really far, dog. Kind of like the Dolphins did.
I'm looking forward to March Madness just because of last year and obviously how that played out. I was really excited to see them advance in the tournament and how they played. But more so than anything, after the abysmal season that was the Miami Hurricanes football program season. Yeah.
You need something.
The University of Miami needs something positive.
You need
and
it
right
dog.
now, it's all on the basketball team.
That's
you need
crazy
it.
to hear.
It's crazy to hear, but that's how it works, man. And if you think about it, if you're a good university, that's what you do. You have 2-3 major programs, and you try to keep those guys relevant as much as possible. Baseball's actually
really good.
killing it. I know. Let me tell you, dog, baseball's really killing it. They have a couple of guys who are ranked in the top 100 for this season that are juniors and sophomores. So again, another program that like doesn't really get all the bucks or all the notoriety, but they're always consistently there. And they recently gotten back to that division where it's like, all right, we're going to make the tournament. Let's make the tournament. Let's make the tournament. Let's get back into the World Series of college, right? And being on those ESPN games on Wednesdays and shit, right? Just a good life for UM to be around. If your football program is doing well, basketball program, baseball program, it's just a good vibe. And I feel like that's what motivates the team to be like, or the players to be like, I'm proud to play for this team. Look, my fellow athlete here is killing it. I got to kill it. I can't be the slacker. You know what I mean? And the cool shit this year too, man, we're going to do something for March Madness. Sports with SoSo is going to have a bracket. We're going to allow you guys to join that bracket and see if you can beat me. And we might give away a little son.
Who knows?
But it depends if Joel says it's okay. If Joel says not okay, then we're not going to give it away anything.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, there you go, guys. So make sure to check us out and look for more information as we'll be bringing you guys a ton of content when it comes to UM basketball because I really feel like they're on the verge of doing something big this year, bro.
Are we wrapping up?
I think we should.
Let's cue the music.
Cue the music, man. If you haven't already, go hit that subscribe button on YouTube. That's how we plan to bring you more amazing content this year. Shout out to Martin for joining us, bro. What a day of production, doggy. Hell of a shift he put in.
OnlyFans, baby. Go check it out.
Absolutely. And if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, guess what? You'll get that notification of OnlyFans when it comes out. So make sure to tell a friend.
Oh, while you're on there, go check out the Kevin Gleason interview, man.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to the boy Kevin.
What it do, baby? Shout out to Lorenzo too, man. I see you, boy. I can't wait to see you fight, man. Yeah, bro. It's time to tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell one more friend.
To be a friend and tell another friend.
About this amazing podcast that we got going on, y'all. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Drop a comment. And until next time,
Peace.